Hi everybody and welcome back to another video. As the title would suggest, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some impressive and highly taxing graphical mods for Skyrim in an attempt to drastically change the visuals of the game for the better as a showcase of how far we have come as a community in the past 10 years. The goal of today's video is not to boast about me getting lucky to get my hands on a 3090 graphics card, but to showcase how far we can push the visual improvements for this undying game now that we have even stronger hardware at our disposal. As the community has released endless amounts of mods for Skyrim, the possibilities of overhauling your game are endless, whether it's a colorful fantasy atmosphere or perhaps a dark fantasy feel, or even just sticking to the true atmosphere of what the cold province of Skyrim should provide. I have decided to take the fantasy approach, as it's my personal preference, tends to be the most colorful one, while providing the most drastic and impressive change compared to its original state. We're going to be taking a look at some creations that turn Skyrim into an unrecognizable game. Additionally, I recently have delved in an endeavor of managing this YouTube channel full time, so I'm hoping some of you guys would click that subscribe button down below if you do enjoy the videos being produced here, as well as sticking around for this message before we dive in, as it greatly benefits the channel as well. With that being said, today's video is sponsored by Lineage 2 Essence. Lineage 2 as a game requires no introduction and is probably one of the oldest MMO role-playing games as a prequel of its predecessor. Lineage 2 Essence as a secondary version of the series uses a reversal logic in attention demand, as it allows for in-game systems that enables less hardcore players to keep up with the rest of the player base without sacrificing personal life, work or studies. Think of it as a Lineage 2 game that is comfortable to be played solo. However, even though players can progress by themselves, teaming up with other players, becoming a member of a strong clan, capturing siege castle or defeating bosses in dungeons and raids is still incentivized. The game includes detailed and expansive character creation system. PvP events are a huge part of the game in form of castle sieges, clan wars, and even 3v3 PvP combat arenas. Players can acquire some cool mounts or turn on auto hunt, earning rewards without sacrificing real life. With the new Frostlord update release in June, the game got a bunch of more content with new Frostlord castle location, new world bosses, new frost weapons, and bunch more. If you follow the link in the description, the team from Lineage 2 Essence will provide you with the Cube of Help to boost your character leveling and get straight into the endgame in no time. Huge thanks to Lineage 2 Essence for sponsoring this video. We'll begin the showcase in a rapid pace by comparing three most visually pleasing ENBs, and that's FNENB, TKV6, and Rudy ENB. FNENB is a fantasy realism ENB preset built off of the fantastic Suki's ENB for Legendary Edition and has its shaders ported to SC and additionally tweaked to work with NLA Weather's plugin. TKV6 on the other hand attempts to preserve a more realistic and more colorful feel, has been made to work with natural atmospheric Tamriel 3.0 weathers that does a lot of visual heavy lifting. Rudy ENB and its Zangdar's counterpart has been covered on this channel multiple times and is my personal favorite due to its consistency for both exterior and interior areas and is specifically tweaked to work with Cathedral weathers. All of the three presets are considered heavyweight and are quite taxing onto your system, with FNENB having the lowest performance impact out of the three. FNENB does an incredible job presenting exteriors with lots of bloom, subtle coloring, and perfect amount of sharpness for that crisp imagery. TKV6 on the other hand is a lot more colorful preset, with water being given a captivating blue coloring for that increased fantasy feel, offers less sharpness and high amounts of bloom to cement that fantasy feel. Rudy ENB attempts to provide a balance between realism and fantasy, offers incredible coloring, sunsets, and probably does the most impressive job at accentuating green areas with its contrast. Stormy and rainy weathers are most intense and satisfying with Rudy ENB, while clear sky weathers are a tough race and will be up to a personal interpretation. Contradictory, TKV6 has the most impressive blizzards. Shifting gears and decelerating to take a brief look at Cathedral 3D Pine Grass. The mod is an import of photographed plants and spread throughout Skyrim's pine forest areas as flora. This grass mod proudly holds the title of an only grass mod that introduced a true 3D meshes as foliage. The blanket of foliage provided by this mod consists of beautiful and varied ferns, columbines, lupin flowers, dandelions, and the most impressive and visually pleasing clovers and clover coverings. As mentioned earlier, the mod only covers pine forest areas, which means that it could be used in tandem with other grass mods such as previously covered Folkvanger, as long as it has loading priority. Performance-wise, it does okay on my hardware, but just like any other grass mod, your frame rate impact will be determined by an INI setting in your game files. The mod additionally offers even more detailed high-poly windswept grass and clusters, and almost look real even with a close-up field of view. With the introduction of this mod into my load order, I could never swap back to anything I have used before, as the quality of this foliage introduced is unmatched and provide a blanket of gorgeous green visuals, making pine forest areas a pleasure to explore. Next up, we have a mountain retexture, specifically Pfuscher's 16K Mountains. This texture overhaul is made to work as a standalone, but also as a retexture mod for Majestic Mountains, which is what I personally use and would recommend, as the two complement each other extremely well. As the mountainous areas are a huge part of the province, proper texture selection for these rocky Goliaths becomes paramount, and if you're a fan of grayish tone with an added layering and minor parallax effect, these textures are a great choice. Pfuscher is a known author of the community that makes high quality texture overhauls, and these are on no exception, with them not being held back by resolution and scale. As they are 16K, you can expect a significant performance impact if not in possession of powerful hardware, but for me personally, they are worth every frame loss due to their incredible visual fidelity. Waters of Skyrim in this video will be overhauled by Wavy Waters mod. As we have covered water for ENB in one of my previous videos, I wanted to see if there is something else on the market to choose from, and I happened to stumble upon this very mod. Although simple in its implementation, by changing the water texture and several other water settings to make the best use of the water parallax effect provided by an ENB, using water displacement and tessellation, its visual quality definitely stands out as one of the most visually pleasing water mods. It is important to note that the intention of this mod was to retexture the water itself, but not meant to be a full-scale water mod. This means that the mod lacks water flow and wavy river waters by manipulating flow map. However, I figured most viewers watching this don't necessarily care about these factors and just want a pretty looking water for their game. This mod will definitely satisfy that criteria, and in my personal opinion, it's the best looking water mod I have tried after water for ENB. It's also important to mention that this water mod is specifically made to work with an ENB, as it takes advantage of water displacement and tessellation settings only provided by an ENB itself. Just as is the case with all water mods, the coloring will be decided by an ENB of your choosing, as well as settings provided by the preset. The mod creator has set permission to this mod to open, so if you yourself are an author watching this video, I think these water textures have great potential for a complete overhaul and enhanced to be a full-scale water mod. While we're discussing a water mod, I figured a brief mention of animated forge water was appropriate. For veterans, players and modders alike, most of us are familiar with how long it took for a mod that overhauls this tiny detail, but without an ESP. We were using Blacksmith Forge Water Fix, and although a great solution, its implementation felt surface level. For those wondering why such a tiny detail is a big deal, Blacksmith Forge Water textures were absolutely atrocious. Animated Forge Water fixes all of these issues with a simple mesh change and introduces plethora of compatibility fixes, making it a must-have for everyone to use. As we spend a big chunk of our time in major cities, from uncovering Solitude mysteries, solving the brutal killing spree of Windhelm, becoming a part of or destroying the Thieves Guild, participating in overthrowing Whiterun, or untangling the Forsworn conspiracy, it's only logical we enhance these cities as much as possible. We'll start off with the city surrounded by the soaring peaks of the nearby mountains, set upon the great stone arch towering above the Carth River, a major shipping port, City of Solitude. The combination of textures we'll be adding to the capital of Skyrim are Skyland and TD. Skyland is a very popular choice on Nexus, while TD is a bit of an underdog itself. The coloring provides the city with brick-like texturing for buildings in the streets, green tint for rooftops, and whitish hue for walls, while interiors are also covered by either brick-like layers and nice white tone that makes interiors extra luxurious. With the capital of Skyrim being given a proper makeover, it's time to leave a northwest part of the Hafengar and make haste heading towards an east side of the province and visit the City of Kings, arguably a settlement with a throne for the true king of Skyrim, Windhelm. We'll be providing the City of Stone with texturing from 4K Windhelm mod. Even though we're trying to give the game a fantasy feel, it would feel wrong to give this ancient city too much coloring. It feels appropriate to layer it out with grey tones for all of its buildings and streets. Same method would apply for its interiors, giving them a unique and cold feel. After a brief visit in capital of Eastmarch Hold, we're moving south towards Riften City. The coding we'll be adding for this notorious home of the Thieves Guild will be WiZKiD Riften. The main purpose of this retexture is to give the city a look that portrays a true medieval port town. The mod also adds numerous of improvements for meshes used around the settlement, enhanced UV maps and cube maps, providing better consistency and high quality end product. Moving away from Rift's Hold and its beautiful autumnal forests, heading towards the very center of the province, a city of Whiterun. This major trading hub is the favorite place of many authors, and I'll use this opportunity to pay tribute to the favorite one in the community, JP Steel 2, by briefly showcasing a cool Whiterun horse statue. As far as City Overhaul, my favorite mod still remains previously covered Illustrious Whiterun. Besides its incredible texture quality, the inclusion of Parallax Effect makes it my favorite one out of the most texture mods, and provides the city with slightly desaturated but perfect coloring, fitting for the commercial heart of Skyrim. And finally, our last stop takes us towards the Mountains of the Reach, a settlement sitting on top of the Neishuanzel, a city of Markarth. Texture set that I went for is frankly HD. This retexture will be hit or a miss for most people, as the coding provided is quite drastic and gives the city's stonework a very white hue. The mod additionally covers interior areas through an installation menu, and that previously mentioned whitish tone works very well with lighting mods like Lux and ELFX. And that's going to be it for today's video. Please let me know down in the comments below if you want to see more videos covering visual mods, as I have briefly considered turning these into an actual channel series. Once again, please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the content being made here, and don't forget to endorse the mods that you plan to use, as without hard work of extremely talented authors, none of this would be possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.